you and your wife together have a portfolio of around 2 crores. How did you plan your investment to reach up till this 2 crore number?
If I break it down for you, there's currently I'm doing 7 funds. My allocation is split into 5 buckets. So I have a large.
What's been your relationship with money along these years?
It's my dirty secret.
Could you explain what post fire is and what's your math behind it?
If I'd like to reach somewhere around 25 crores, I have to only invest 15,000 a month. That's enough to get me to that number. I moved to Bombay. My salary was then increased to about 7 lakhs. And then COVID happened. And suddenly that whole nice career graph that I had in my mind went out of picture. That's when then I started realizing that financial planning is also important. Can't be an endless goal.
Today, we are meeting Nikunj Agarwal, who has built a 2 crore retirement corpus in just 5 years. He started his journey as a teacher, earning just 25,000 per month, and now with calculated planning, he is on his way to achieve his fire number. Hi Nikunj. First of all, thank you so much for welcoming us, all of us, in your beautiful house. And let's start right away. As we were talking about, you and your wife together have a portfolio of around 2 crores.
That's right.
So, is that your fire number? If not, what is it? And have you done the math around it?
Is it a fire number? No, it's not. Right. So I would say it is what you would call a coast fire number, which is to say that our current corpus is large enough that over the next 25, 30 years, it will continue to grow such that it will become equivalent to my fire number, meaning I don't need to make any additional investments.
Got it. So, Nikunj, for our audience, could you explain what coast fire is and what's your math behind it?
Sure. So coast fire is the idea that you've accumulated enough of a corpus that you don't need to make any additional investments within that. However, it is not large enough that you can start withdrawing yet, right? So think of it as deferred fire, right? So if you put away that money today and don't touch that money for the next 20 years or how many ever years left to retirement, then through compounding at the time of retirement, that corpus will become large enough to become your fire number.
Okay.
So really in simple terms, all it means is that I can stop saving, but I cannot stop earning, right?
Oh.
So I can take a pay cut, but I cannot completely stop having an income, essentially.
Okay. And how did this work for you? Like how you said that 2 crore number is the coast fire number for you.
Right.
How did you do that, math?
Sure. So what I've done is I've tried to model what my expenses will be at retirement annually.
Okay.
Based on my current expenses, accounting for inflation, as well as accounting for some lifestyle inflation, right? So currently in real terms, my annual expenses would be individually would be maybe 12 lakhs. My wife actually spends a little bit less than me. So as a household, we spend maybe 20 lakhs a year or 25 lakhs a year. I've taken 100% lifestyle inflation value, which is to say I've assumed double for our retirement expenses, which makes it about 48 lakhs a year, 2 lakhs per person per month is what I'm assuming. And then I've inflated that by 6% a year.
Okay.
Right? For the household. So individually speaking, if you take it, so it's my current expense is 12 lakhs. My lifestyle inflated projection is 24 lakhs, accounting for, wanting to travel or whatever. I've then taken 24 lakhs a year and increased that by 6% for 25 years, keeping my retirement age as 55, to arrive at, so what will 24 lakhs look like in 25 years, right?
Correct.
So I think it comes up to something like 1 crore. It's a 4.5x increase in terms of inflation.
That will be the yearly expense.
That will be the yearly withdrawal required from the corpus, right? Year 1 of retirement, which then continues to increase by 5-6% every year throughout retirement. And then I've used that number to calculate how much of a corpus do I require in order to be able to safely withdraw this amount per month for a period of 35 to 40 years, right? So I'm taking a 90 or 95 as my life expectancy. So doing all of that math, the required number comes, depending on whether you take 12% return, 13% return, or 5% inflation or 7% inflation. changing those things will change your numbers, and it could be as low as about 21 crores after 25 years. 21 crores in that year will be about 21x of 1 crore, right? Which is what we calculated. So keeping all of that in mind, what it comes back to is to say that if I'd like to reach somewhere around 25 crores in 25 years, given that I have 1 crore today, with 6% inflation, 12% returns, ignoring tax for now, I have to only invest another, for the rest of the 25 years, if I invest about 15,000 a month or about 2 lakhs a year or 1.8 lakhs a year, that's enough to get me to that number. Right.
Well, like, what's been your relationship with money along these years?
My wife and I, we don't think we're going to have children, right?
Okay.
Maybe that will change at some point. And then I'll watch this video and feel funny. But as of now, our current plan is to not have kids. And thankfully, again, all of our parents and families are not dependent on us financially. We don't intend to get further educated in terms of doing an MBA or something like that, because our careers are already pretty stable, I would think. And so, really, outside of retirement and year-to-year expenses, I don't have very many financial goals, right?
Got it.
We don't we don't think we'll buy a house. I think we will rent for life, simply because the math doesn't make sense to me, and it seems too risky. And I've seen my parents lose money on real estate, etc. So it's a asset I don't really have much of an interest in. And outside of these things, I don't think there are very many financial Indian dreams, right? It's always like daughter's wedding, children's education, retirement, and buying a house, right? And also those three of them don't apply to.
And how did you plan your investment to reach up till this 2 crore number?
So, let me start by giving you a rough story of, what the career has been like.
Yeah.
So I'm currently about 30 years old. I started working when I was 22, right out of college. My first year, I started with a company in Hyderabad, which is where I moved there for a year. Truth be told, my starting salary was about 23 or 24,000 a month at the time. And there was really nothing to save, right? So I was still able to put away maybe a couple of thousand rupees a month. But it was not investing. It was just, it was saving for a trip. It was saving for a new phone. It was saving for, whatever you'd like to spend 20, 30,000 on at the end of the year. And I would just put them in recurring deposits. Honestly, at the time, even a recurring deposit seemed very cool to me. So this idea that every month you can put a little bit of money, and then at the end of the year, it's like a bonus, right? So that's how the first couple of years were, honestly. Then I went to, within the same firm, I moved to Bombay. And so at the time, my salary was then increased to about 7 lakhs per year. This was about 2 years into my career. And that's when I first had the opportunity to actually start saving a little bit. Given the kind of context of Bombay rent and stuff, relatively, I was still not paying as much. We got a good deal, so to say. And we were 3 people in a 2-bedroom house. So I was not paying as much as some other people were. And I didn't have travel cost. I was walking distance from office. There were a lot of ancillary benefits like, subsidized canteen food, etc. So expenses were not as high. And I started managing to save maybe 5,000 a month, something like that. Again, largely with a spending objective, not really an investment objective. And I suddenly realized that maybe I'm settling for too little a compensation in the career that I had decided. That's when I made a switch to a marketing career, which is something I felt would give me more growth at the time. So I joined an agency in Bombay in 2018 or 2019, sorry, which was about 3 years after I had graduated. At a fairly entry level role, but they agreed to match my previous salary, even though I was switching industries, things like that. So I was still at 7 lakhs a year. So I went from a job that was with about 20 people to a agency that was employing 500 people in one office, right? And all young people, within a 5-10 year age gap. So conversations around money became more apparent, right? Everyone was, discussing either positive or negative. about how much, appraisal will be this year, or, what bonuses the seniors are getting. And that's when then I started realizing that financial planning is also important, that, it can't be an endless goal, right? Both in terms of expenses as well as investments or savings. So I started doing a lot of research just to get a sense of, what are these things. I was still largely investing only in recurring deposits, which were my favorite at the time. And then COVID happened, right?
Yeah.
At that time, and suddenly that whole nice career graph that I had in my mind went out of the picture, because the agency lost a lot of its business, which also meant that we had less work. And so I had an opportunity then to start getting access to some freelance projects.
Okay.
Through, friends, family, just referrals within your own kind of personal network, of very, very small value. And I started doing those simply because I could, right? Like, it was something to do at a time where your job was not as engaging. And you were working from home for the first time. So anyway, you were a little bit bored. And that's when I kind of started seeing that the freelance money could become something much larger than my actual income at the time. And there was this 1 month, I think 3 or 4 or 5 months into COVID, where I made the same amount of freelance money as I did from my actual salary, right? The first time ever. Because we had some, we got lucky with some US project or something like that. And the money was good at the time. That's when me and a couple of friends of mine, and my wife, who's now my wife, at the time we were not married. The three of us were all in marketing, and we decided that now is, as good a time as ever to start our own setup and try and maximize on the freelance side of things. So we decided that, look, we'll start an agency, uh, which is in 2020, which was about 18 months into my job, right in the middle of COVID, with the simple logic that, look, anyway, you're not getting growth in the job. You may as well try something. And if nothing happens and everything fails, in a sense, just come back to the job in a year and say, look, it was COVID, right? I mean, no one's going to bat an eye. So it was a great risk-free time, actually, to try something, and we took a shot. And thankfully, it really worked well. So for the first year, our only goal was to match our own previous salary, right? We just said, look, if we can continue to earn at least this much as we are already making in our jobs, then that's still a great place to be, right? At least you'll be your own boss, right? Even if your income doesn't change. So that was our goal for year one, but thankfully we exceeded that. So we did end up, all three of us, making more money than we were making from our regular jobs. And I think that's when this growth kind of mindset kicked in a little bit of, we got a taste of success, right? We got a taste of money.
For our audience, someone who started his career from like 23,000 job,
Right.
to now has such a big corpus. Like, for a lot of us, it's 2 crores is a huge number.
Yeah.
Tell us on investment strategy in terms of where did you invest in? What's your portfolio allocation? Like, tell us more on that.
Sure. My allocation has been 100% equity
Okay.
since the very beginning,
Okay.
pretty much, except that little bit fixed deposit RD that was there. With the logic that I think I very early understood that volatility is okay at my age. And I don't mind kind of having notional gains or losses, right? It's okay. If I break it down for you, currently I'm doing 7 funds.
Okay. All equities into mutual funds only.
All equity is mutual funds, so I don't do any direct equity.
Okay.
My allocation is split into 5 buckets, so to say, but with 7 individual funds. So I have a large cap index fund, which is a single fund, which is 20%. I have a mid cap index fund, which is also 20%. I have one active mid cap fund as well, which is another 20%. I have 2 active small cap funds, which are 10% each. So total is 20%. And then finally, I have 2 flexi cap funds, which are also 10% each.
Okay.
Right. So in terms of 5 buckets, it's 20% large cap index, 20% mid cap index, 20% mid cap active, 20% small cap active, and 20% flexi cap.
Got it.
But as I said, because of the 2 actives for small and flexi, it's a total
7 funds. Got it.
So that's what I've stuck to.
And along the way, are there like certain mistakes that you made that, you would want to tell our audience not to do?
Yes and no. So I mean, yes, I've made mistakes. So I will admit that there was a time when, for maybe a few weeks, I tried options trading. Right. I mean, I did all the studying, I did the research, I did all the courses. I just felt like I could do it. And I still did it with a very small allocation, like less than 0.1% really. But I did it. Like it's my dirty secret. And then I found myself getting obsessed, right? Like I was checking throughout, from that 9:30ish to 3 p.m. kind of period. I was just constantly checking what's happening, almost like day trading behavior. And of course, I had a full-time job, right? So it's not like I could just spend my entire day checking markets. And I saw that this could very easily spiral out of control. And so I took a step back and I stopped.
Thanks, Nikunj, for sharing so many perspectives and a lot of learnings. I'm sure audience will learn a lot from this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.